Good evening, YouTube. You guys are now watching another segment of TheCaliEffect, King of Games. And today, you guys are going to be watching the Weather Painter go against Magical Musketeers, two decks from the Spirit Warrior set. This is going to be a very interesting matchup, a very exciting matchup to watch. And if you guys would like to see deck profiles of both of these decks, then you guys can click on the annotation above. That link will take you to both the Magical Musketeer and the Weather deck profile. Really awesome and fun decks to play. Also, you can also check in the description section. That will have links to them as well in case the links on the annotations do not work. So entering this matchup, Weathery actually has a distinct advantage over Magical Musketeer because the cards used with Weathery requires the monsters to be placed and not activated. Magical Musketeer is going to roll an 8 and Weathery is going to roll a 9. That 1 point advantage is going to give Magical Musketeers, or I'm sorry, Weathery, the option to go first or second, but that is the biggest advantage that Weathery does have for Magical Musketeers, and it's a deck that will struggle against Weathery, a deck that is not thought of to be in a competitive deck in any sort. So Magical Musketeer going second, looking at Weathery with its starting 5 cards. We see Pot of Desires that is going to be activated. Is it going to be interrupted with a Ghost Ash or a Ghost Ash and Joyous Spring? No, it is not. So 10 cards are going to be banished for an additional draw too. More often than not, a lot of people like to argue that the Pot of Desires is the biggest neg in existence. Excuse that, those Ash Blossom are going to be placed inside of the deck, so you're going to see a little cutoff because what we were using before was proxies. But a lot of people think that Pot of Desires is a neg 9. But unfortunately, it's not, or very fortunately that it is not. It is a +1, being able to get you 6 cards in your starting hand. And more often than not, the cards that you're going to banish, you probably weren't going to see on the tail end anyways. So Valhalla is going to special summon a Weather Painter monster, which is going to be tributed for Aura. Aura's effect is going to activate its effect to search a Weather Painter spell card, or not actually even search, place a Weather Painter spell card from the deck to the side of the field. If you guys have been noticing, there is a new Weather Painter monster that is being played inside of the Weather Painter deck that is different from the deck profile. There are very, very slight changes within this deck profile, and I plan on putting them into the description of the deck profile, so go ahead and check that out. But I'm looking at it, it's going to place Weather Painter Snow, or Weather Snow, the spell card, the Weather Snowy Canvas, I apologize, the spell card, to the spell and trap card, so allowing Aura to banish itself to search Weather Painter Snow. So that's a pretty good conundrum. 2 cards are going to, or 1 card is going to be set face down, and keep in mind, during the standby phase after the card, or during the standby phase following the turn that the monster was banished, it will be able to special summon itself. So Weather Painters are really good monsters, and their effects are amazing. Now keep in mind, the spell card of Snowy Canvas gives all of your Weather Painter monsters the effects. It is not itself activating, so it's really good. As you guys can see, Magical Musketeers are going to start off pretty strong with Magical Musketeer Starfire to the side of the field, as well as a Toon Table of Contents. Toon Table of Contents, adding another Toon Table of Contents from the deck to the hand, but more importantly, triggering off Starfire to on the field, special summoning a Magical Musketeer monster from the deck to the side of the field. Now, the biggest problem with Magical Musketeer is dealing with a behemoth of a monster in Aura, 2000 attack body, and also a Thunder Canvas that is going to be activated. So anytime one of the weather monsters decide to battle an opponent's monster, it's going to be, you know, destroy or return to the hand, which is going to make Magical Musketeers lose advantage. That is actually going to be met with a Weather, or with a Magical Musketeer Last Stand to negate this Thunder Canvas, which is really important because it makes sure that Magical Musketeers can ensure or can battle any monster without having to go back to the hand. So with Magical Musketeer Casper on the field, every time a card is activated in its column, it is allowed to search a Magical Musket card from the deck to the hand. That's going to be pretty pivotal for adding those important spell and trap cards that the deck needs to his hand to be able to disrupt Weather and its combos before they can ever fully develop. So another Toon Table of Contents is going to be activated on the Casper to search another Toon Table of Contents, which is also going to trigger Casper's effect to search that Magical Musket card from the deck to the hand as well. So this is going to be pretty good. Having the deck set up in this type of way is going to be pivotal for the Magical Musket to get its combos going. So Cross Domination is also a really good card for Magical Musketeer. I feel it's the most powerful card for the deck. By targeting a monster and reducing its attack to 0, it also negates the monster's effects. It is a quick play spell card, so more often than not, quick play spell cards are the most deadly cards in the game, being able to be activated on your opponent's turn and on your turn. For Magical Musket, it's a little different, seeing that all of the spell and trap cards, as well as the, actually just all of the spell and trap cards, my apologies, can be activated during either player's turn through the Magical Musket cards and through the hand, so it's really good. So Misplay is gonna, or an error is gonna activate, Starfire is gonna declare an attack on Aura, and then Cross Domination is gonna activate targeting the Aura, which is just going to trigger the Aura's effect to banish the search, dodging the domination and keeping the monster on the board. I felt that the better play would have been able to keep the cross domination, but then again, Weather would have a knowledge of the cross domination being in hand, so it feels like a lose-lose situation that they are looking at a 2200 attack monster on the board, something that Magical Musket does have a problem with dealing with. Now, players would like to say Honest is a really good card, but Honest actually is not a great card at all. It's a pretty bad standalone, unfortunately. So back to the Weather Painter, that exchange has definitely lost Weathers some life points, but not in the advantage category, as Aura is going to be able to summon itself back to the field on the standby phase, which is really good, having a 2200 attack monster that basically dodged a Magical Musket card effect. So now a Field Center is going to be brought to ensure that card zones are being placed properly. Back to Weather's turn, it looks like they have 6 cards in hand, so it's a lot of great things that they can do with this deck. Trying to figure out what can be the best possible play is almost endless inside of this deck. So obviously Snowy Canvas is going to activate itself effect to banish itself to search another copy of a Thunder card. It's going to be Thunder Canvas. The most important thing that you guys have to realize is once you activate Snowy Canvas, you can no longer add cards from your deck to your hand except by drawing them. That effect is a hard once per turn, and it's actually more of a bridge effect. And what I mean by bridge effect, it's kind of like how Gem Knight Sraff Knight says you can only gain the effect of the second summon once per turn. It's similar to that. It means you can no longer search cards, period, from your deck to your hand. So it's kind of a bummer, but searching Thunder Canvas was a really good play, because now that's going to be able to search, or they're going to open up the battle phase for Weather Painters, allowing them to attack into the Magical Musketeer monsters without having to worry about cross dominations or steady hands. So it looks like Thunder Canvas is going to be special summoned through the effect of Valhalla, which is going to allow Thunder Canvas to send Valhalla from the field to the graveyard to search another Weather Painter card and place it to the field. Now, keep in mind, even though I did say search, it doesn't necessarily search the card. It places it from the deck to the side of the field, so it does kind of go around Snowy Canvas. Now, Cross Domination, another copy of Cross Domination is going to be activated in response, negating the the Weather Painter Thunder effect and preventing him from basically doing anything else. Now, if Snowy Canvas was still active or being able to be used, you would be able to banish the Thunder Canvas or the Thunder Painter and still be able to retain your search, as Cross Domination would be or miss its target, which would be a worse way for saying that it wouldn't be able to negate the monster's effect, because chain links, how chain links work. It's very interesting that he's activating the Cross Dom on the Starfire as opposed to the Casper, because as we know, that's only going to get monster advantage to the side of the field, whereas activating on the Casper allows you to get another card that can be activated on another monster, particularly Starfire, to get you another destruction or negate. So it's really interesting to know that. It's possibly because Magical Musketeers might have a way to special summon or to activate more card effects in their hand. Their hand must be loaded with Magical Musket cards. Keep in mind, another bad thing about Magical Musket is that the monsters are definitely weaker than the Weather Painter monsters. With Weather Painter Thunder sitting at 1700 attack, it can take out both the Magical Musket Dock and the Starfire, presumably before they can gain their full advantage. So looking at what Weather Painters can do, they're going to set 2 back row, and it looks like it might be the end of the turn. No, they're going to tribute both of those back row for a Masterpiece. Now that changes the composition of the game completely. Masterpiece being unaffected by spells and traps might just be the end for Magical Musketeers, because the only way to get over Masterpiece is by using spells and traps, by increasing their monster's attack, or more importantly, decreasing Masterpiece or destroying Masterpiece through the spells and traps. I don't see how Magical Musketeers could really out this card, which is a fatal flaw for the deck. Not being able to out one of the more prevalent cards in the metagame might be a reason to not play this deck. That is really crazy how Masterpiece can change the dynamic of the game, and it doesn't really matter if the card was activated on Casper or if it was activated on the effects or a Starfire or not, is just a really bad position to be in when Masterpiece, unaffected by spells and traps, 2,950 attack is on the board. So it looks like Masterpiece is going to declare an attack on the dock. Definitely thinking about the play, but you definitely want both Doc and Casper out of the field. You necessarily don't care about Starfire because while Starfire does bring out advantage in a monster form, it doesn't really do anything for you. But looking back at it, it looks like Masterpiece is going to declare an attack on the Dock and possibly banish a spell or trap card to destroy either the Starfire or the Casper. Now, I don't remember, or I don't think that Casper had its effect activated, so anytime between now and before it gets destroyed will be a perfect time to activate it. Actually, it's kind of too late, because even if a card is activated on Casper, Masterpiece can just go ahead and chain its effect to destroy the Casper. So all is basically lost for that Casper, now that I think about it, now that Masterpiece is on the board. And keep in mind, the Magical Musketeer monsters have to resolve or have to see the card resolving in order to activate their effect. So Valhalla is going to be banished through Masterpiece, possibly to destroy, no, just the Starfire. It looks like Casper is going to be allowed another day to live. Back to Magical Musketeers, really hard board to look at, especially with Aurum coming back. And now the Magical Musketeer Destrudo is going to be activated to destroy the Aurum. Masterpiece is gonna chain its effect to destroy the Casper, and then Aurum's gonna chain its effect to destroy, and it looks like that is game. We're going on to game 2. This game 2 matchup is gonna be fairly interesting, seeing that Magical Musketeers now have the option to go first. It looks like Upstart Goblin is going to be activated, giving the Weather Painter 1,000 life points, and that's not really a good sign of a Magical Musket player. Maybe they did not draw the monsters that we need, and no, they did not. Denied all of the resources. Had it been a Magical Musketeer on top of that Upstart Goblin, it would have netted some pretty good advantage. So it looks like the Weather Painter Snow is going to be summoned, and that's going to place a card from the deck to the side of the field. Keep in mind, it does avoid Ash Blossom, since it doesn't add from deck to hand. It simply just places cards from the deck to the side of the field. It looks like Snow Canvas is going to be placed on the field, giving Snow Painter the effect to banish itself to search any monster. Now that effect can be Ash Blossom, but not that it really matters, because Snow Painter will be able to special summon itself during the next standby phase. So playing Ash Blossom against this deck isn't the best, mainly because of how the deck can work its way around Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring to still get exactly what it wants. It's not like it needs to search every turn. And as you guys can see, Snow Painter is going to activate its effect to search, and that effect is going to be allowed to go through possibly searching a Thunder, which is going to search a Thunder Painter from the deck to the hand. And like I said, this deck can get the ball rolling. It doesn't take too many cards to get this ball rolling. The only thing you need is basically either a Brilliant Fusion, a snowy canvas with a snow monster, or with a Weather Painter monster, and this deck can really get the ball rolling. It can move in so many different directions. It looks like another copy of Cloud Canvas is going to be activated, and then Hecatrice is going to be activated to search Valhalla. Valhalla is going to use its effect to special summon a fairy monster now that there are no fairy monsters in the field. And as we're looking at it, it looks like the Snowy Canvas was going to be used as bait to bait in Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. It doesn't look like that Magical Musketeers does have that now. So now the effect of Thunder Painter is going to activate to send Valhalla from the field to the graveyard to set another canvas to the side of the field. Now, this particular canvas isn't really good against Magical Musketeer, mainly for the sole reason that they play no back row, and the canvas that we're talking about in question is Rainy Canvas. By banishing one of your Magical Musketeers adjacent to where this card is, you can bounce a back row. Now, we already know that that doesn't really happen. 1,700 damage is going to be inflicted from Magical Musketeer, and now the Snow Painter is going to be special summoned back on the standby phase, as well as the Thunder Canvas being activated on the opponent's turn. So all four of the most important Weather Painter canvas card, or the Weather Canvas cards being activated, is basically going to spell a pretty bad time for the Magical Musketeers. Desires is going to be activated for that draw 2, and that's really good under a Kid Brave, but it looks like Magical Musketeers are not having the best of hands right now, and it looks like the game is definitely in Weather Painter's court. So it's going to be very interesting to see what the opponent can do, what Magical Musketeers can do to not only break this board, but establish themselves as a contending deck. So looking at it, 7 cards in hand, it looks like Starfire is going to be summoned, and Magical Musketeers have, or Weather Painters, unfortunately have no ways to stop this. Destrudo is going to be activated, not Destrudo, Destrato is going to be activated to destroy Weather Canvas and then trigger Starfire's effect to special summon a Magical Musketeer from the deck to the side of the field. This is going to be looking really good right now. Being able to special summon a Casper, which will gain you another search if you can get off a Doom Table, Contest, Upstart Goblin, or Pot of Desires. Unfortunately, most of those cards I just said were already activated, so Casper is going to be summoned to the side of the field. Pretty good sign of life for the Magical Musketeer monsters, being able to continuously search monsters. And it looks like we're having an issue with our card placement or our zone placement. So cards are going to be fixed to match the correct zone placing. And it looks like Casper is going to be summoned where there is a blank space for Magical Musketeers. Also, Starfire is summoned where there's a blank space for the Weather Painter as well. So looking at it, all Casper has to do is be able to activate its effect to search a card. And it looks like Magical Musketeers might be in a better game. Double Summon is going to be activated on Casper's alignment, being able to gain an additional summon, but more importantly, search a card from the deck to the hand. In this situation, a monster isn't typically terrible, and especially if you have those spells and trap cards that you can use on your opponent's turn to start disrupting your opponent's play. So it looks like Kid Brave is going to be added from the deck to the hand, and his effect is really good. I actually do like McCree. What McCree does is every time a card is activated in its column, you can discard a corresponding Magical Musketeer, or I'm sorry, you can discard a Magical Musketeer card from your hand to your graveyard to draw 2 cards. So it's really good with Upstart Goblin. It's a draw 3 with Upstart Goblin. It's a draw 4 with Pot of Desires. It's just a really good card with this deck. So looking at it, I think I seen a Last Stand and an Ash Blossom, as well as a Magical Musket spell card. It looks like Cross Domination, and it look like they're in a pretty good position with the Thunder Canvas off the board. So unfortunately, the biggest problem with Magical Musketeer is that the monsters are inherently weak. Thunder Canvas is 1700 attack. Kid Brave is 1600 attack. Starfire is 1300 attack. So that is a huge, and I can't even stress huge. A lot of players will be like, well, you could just make the monster stronger through Honester and these other cards. But you have to keep in mind, those are additional card effects you must use or play inside of your deck to out simple monsters. 1700 attack should not be a huge problem for the deck. But as you guys can see, it is. And that is the biggest problem, or one of the biggest problems with Magical Musketeers. It looks like Breaksword is going to be thought of in the thought process to be summoned, and that's going to require you to use Kid Brave and your Casper, which is something that I definitely would not want to use. I would prefer to use Starfire, but Starfire is a level 4 monster, which is basically a kick in the dick to the entire archetype, seeing that the only good level 4 monster is Starfire. Calamity is okay, and the other monster just is not good at all. And this is a huge problem for Magical Musketeers, having 3 monsters on the field, a decent amount of cards in hand, but the biggest problem is not being able to mow through boards on your turn, not being able to appropriately use your battle phase to get over problematic cards. So it looks like it's going to be it for Magical Musketeers. I can't really see anything that's going to happen that will be beneficial for Magical Musketeers right now, but it looks like it's going to be in and passing it back to Weathery, and it looks like under these situations that Weathery will be able to not only capitalize on this type of board, but also be able to dominate further on. So it looks like, I'm not sure, maybe some thought is going in between these plays. Just a quick look, I'm not sure 100% what could be used. McCree is going to attack into the Thunder Canvas, or the Thunder Painter, and I'm not 100% sure how that's going to work out. Now, if there's a cross dom, it could be used to reduce the Thunder Painter's attack to 0 and forcing the Thunder Painters off the field. But it looks like Weathers are going to play it safe by banishing the Thunder Painter to reduce the attack of the one of the monsters, probably McCree, in half. So that's pretty awesome, being able to reduce the attack of McCree, ultimately save yourself from the cross domination, which would cause you more heartbreak than taking half of the direct damage. Now, McCree can't attack directly, but I don't think that's going to be the case. And it looks like replay should occur on McCree, but I'm not sure if he's going to decide to attack into the Snow Canvas, which is just inherently stronger with his 2200 body. So Magical Musketeers are not looking really well right now. It looks like Weathery, with its nice setup, does hold quite a bit of advantage. And Magical Musketeers are just finding a way. Cross Domination is going to be activated on McCree to target the Weather Painter Snow, but I'm 100% confident that the Snow is just going to banish itself, escaping the cross domination and gaining more advantage for Weather. So yes, again, no, Ash Blossom and Joy Spring is going to be activated in response to the search effect. And then McCree is going to activate to discard Steady Hands to draw 2 more cards. Those cards can be needed. So it looks like Magical Musketeers are climbing their way out of this deficit. Damage is obviously going to be inflicted to Weather Painters, but it doesn't look like a whole ton of damage, seeing that Kid Brave is halved 800 and also the 1300, which is going to equivalent to 2100. So that's not a a terrific amount of damage. Putting Weather Painters down to 6900, but since the Upstart was activated, kind of mitigates 1000 of that damage. So back to Weather Painter. I don't think that there was a way that Magical Musketeers could have played that, because this deck is really tricky. It's really good at getting around those card effects, those really good card effects. Cross Domination is normally one of those cards that say, hey man, you're going to lose your monster, you're going to lose your monster effects, and there's nothing you can do about it. I'm going to gain advantage in particular. And it doesn't seem to be having that effect on Weathers, because they have the quick effects to banish themselves and just take that damage, because it doesn't really mean anything to the deck yet again. So it looks like both Snow and Thunder Painters are going to be summoned in the middle and left in the left columns, which are going to grant them effects of Snow being able to search and half the attack of monsters, and Thunder Canvas being able to half the attack of monsters, as well as bounce cards. But it looks like a Rainy Painter is going to be summoned, and he's going to send through the effects of Thunder Canvas, or Thunder Canvas is going to send the a card to the graveyard. And it looks like, do they have a response? Thunder Painter is going to activate its effect, sending cards to the graveyard. And, that's probably going to trigger your Rainy Canvas. Is that Rainy Canvas? Or I'm sorry, Cloud Painter. My apologies. Cloud Painter. Kind of terrible when it comes to these effects sometimes. It's going to search the Thunder Canvas, and then Cloud Painter is going to activate his effect to place Weather Painter cards from your graveyard to your side of the field. So that's going to be met with a cross domination to negate his attack, or to cut his attack to 0 and negate his effects. That would be really good to have 3 Thunder Canvases, or 2 Thunder Canvases on the field, and 2 columns to be able to bounce whatever monsters that get battled. But it looks like Thunder Canvas is going to chain his effect to Surge, dodging cross domination again. How in the world does this deck get around being able to dodge card effects? It looks like cards like Twin Twins or Cosmic Cyclones are going to have to be cited for this deck just to get over these pesky Weather Painter cards. Like I said, I think under a lot of great decks, Magical Musketeer could be able to dominate, being able to activate cards from the hand to the side of the field. But under this specific deck, this deck that can dodge cards like no other, it is really hard for Magical Musketeers to be able to gain some sort of advantage on this. Now, Casper is able to activate his effect to gain a search, but so does Magical Musketeers. And now, since the card of cross domination with dodge, spell and trap cards can now be placed into the spell and trap card zone, exactly what they were trying to do. So basically, the card that activated in cross domination was all for naught. It looks like it's going to be a fail, as both the canvases, Thunder Canvas and Cloudy Canvas, are going to be placed in the zones. Oh my God, this is just my stomach, my heart. It all hurts. It all hurts for this deck. And then it looks like something gimmicky is going to happen. Unfortunately, Thunder Canvas isn't in the best position right now, because if it was, it would be able to get over some cards. And Thunder Painter is going to be activated or attacking. And it looks like Desperado is going to be activated to destroy the Thunder Canvas, but it's going to trigger its effect yet again to half the attack of a monster. So this is really nasty. Being able to dodge these card effects, I'm telling you, Desperado, Cross Domination, even Steady Hands, all of these card effects are pretty damn good, but Weather Painters are masters at just outing these card effects. It kind of sucks. Actually, it really does suck. It looks like Weather Painters were built to beat Magical Musketeers. So it looks like Snow is going to attack into the Casper. banishing itself. And I think that's just going to set Magical Musketeers back another turn, you know, because now they need to summon that monster to retain board presence with Casper. So it really wasn't anything of the effect but to, you know, make force Weather or Magical Musketeers to use their normal summon on that monster if they have another monster that they were trying to normal summon. So it looks like all of the Weather Painter monsters are going to come back on the standby phase. That means Snow is going to come back, Cloudy is going to come back, and Thunder is going to come back. And 2 of the 3 seem ready and raring to be activated on the Thunder canvas's side. And this is not good, fellas. Looks like a monster is going to be set in defense position for the Magical Musketeers. I'm pretty sure they've checked out. This game has gotten kind of out of hand. And now Aura Up Canvas is going to be summoned. That would place a card, but seeing that they don't even need that effect, it's just going to provide a big monster and some back row protection. This game looks all and over for Magical Musketeers just out of sheer advantage. We don't have to go to the numbers game with life points. It doesn't look really good. Thank you guys so much, and I mean so much, for watching another segment of the Cali Effect. If you guys would like to support the best channel in the world, then go ahead and check out my Patreon. We have some awesome rewards for you guys. Also, be sure to watch these upcoming videos that you guys are going to see. They're pretty fucking awesome. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, but most of all, enjoy.